But shalom, and thank you, friends. I'm hoping everybody is having a fantastic week. And I hope you had a chance to speak to your mother last week for Mother's Day. And it does not matter if she's still here or not. Our spirits live on. And we continue to talk to the people who mean and meant so much in our lives. And you don't have to wait for things like birthdays, anniversaries, Father's or Mother's Day. Just speak up. You will be heard. And I know Melissa had an awesome birthday because she told me how great it was. And she loved the gift she got, and that's fantastic. And I don't know if you saw it, but it was a fantastic opening of the embassy in Jerusalem the other day. This was like a jubilee, only it was thousands of years in coming, not 50 years. And not just the return of the land to the rightful owners, but the actual acknowledgement of the same. So it was really, truly historic. And of course, we just finished reading about the land return and about the blessings and curses. And it's not too hard to see which route man chose. As exile abounds, and in this civilized 21st century, instead of being closer, we seem to be more divisive as people, and anti-Semitism, unfortunately, seems more pronounced than it has been in years. We each need to take responsibility for our own thoughts, words, actions, not worry about another's. If we each take care for our own, the world will be a better place and will grow closer together. And of course, we are on the cusp of the holiday of Shavuot. Now, this year it's from the evening of the 19th to the evening of the 21st. The 7-week count is over. Goodbye, Omer. Hello, Feast of Weeks. Also known in the Christian world as Pentecost. And remember, friends, Shavuot is another of the times of the year when we do the public mourning service, Yizkor. We will remember. So light some candles. And do remember those you have lost, those that the community has lost, those that the world has lost. In your memory, think of those who have passed, because when you do, you elevate their spirits, especially when you light candles for them. Now, there's two significant events associated with the holiday. And of course, it's one of the gathering festivals that's specifically called for in the Bible. There's 3 of them, and this is one. And so that makes it one of the fixed times we just read about. It marks the wheat harvest. The 49-day count is done, and the 50th day marks a very special day of sacrifice. She said it's really not my habit to intrude. Furthermore, I hope my meaning won't be lost or misconstrued. But I'll repeat myself at the risk of being crude. There must be 50 ways to leave your lover. And of course, it marks the anniversary of the day God gave the Torah to the entire nation of Israel assembled at Mount Sinai. Now, for our Christian friends, it marks the day the Holy Spirit descended on the apostles. And so the giving of the Torah became the descent of Spirit after the death of Jesus for Christians. Just another way to celebrate a groundbreaking event. One original, and one 14 or 1500 years later, but where the same holiday was then used to institute a different purpose. Now, there's no connection that we know of that ties the harvest sacrifice to the Sinai Epiphany. But of course, there is no coincidence. So there must be a hidden reason unifying the two events. And speaking of unification, let us come together and join as a like-minded group, as we often do, in a showing of faith, of love, as a community, a chavura, fellowship, when we express our nature of kindness, compassion, thoughts and feelings, hopes, dreams, and wishes that unites us all in this community house of spirit, Beth Ruach. So once again, please do gather. Invite everybody you know, physically, psychically, emotionally, spiritually, socially, to come gather and share from Psalm 133, the Hinei Matov. Come together. Hinei Matov. Shevet Achim Yachad. Hinei Matov. Shevet Achim Yachad. How good and how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters together. Community. 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 Together to as a community, let us all spread love, goodwill, fellowship to the world. I think the world can use a little extra love right now. And as we generate a spiritual connection that unites each of us together as a whole, let's also send out that special healing and renewal energy out to everybody we know. So think of whoever you know that needs healing and renewal. Just focus on them and call out their names, in your mind or out loud. Like Uber, Bob, Veronica, Ben, Deborah, Lindsay, the Bee. And of course, make sure you always include yourself, my friends, because we all need renewal too. It is the kindness, the healing wishes, the goodwill and love that we all send out that just circles the world finding those in need. So thank you, each of you, for all you do, for all you care, because the world is a world of spirit. Spirit never dies. Avotenu, Makor HaBracha, Mimotenu, may the source of strength bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, the renewal of the body, the renewal of spirit. Let us say, Amen. Misha Barak, let us all have our spirits renewed the world over, my friends. As we send out and ask for renewal, we're asking for favors. It's what prayer is. For us, it's a chance to give thanks in exchange for the bounty we've received. So there's a give and take there. And sometimes it's to ask for things, and it's okay to ask. It's our opportunity to engage our senses, our total selves, in a spiritual connection between us and whatever we happen to believe in. And this is what we do with the Sabbath every week. When we take the time to light candles and share food and wine, when we do those things, we invoke our senses. Candle lighting invokes our vision. The flame reminds us that within each of us lights the divine fire that can illuminate the darkest places. We raise our cup, thankful for the partnership we have with creation. We take the bread of the earth, the bread of life, and in tasting it, we share the grain of truth. Now, we do these every week, and we do these every day, every meal. And these three things are keys to life. Light gives us strength. It shines a light on the fears that we carry. Water, juice, wine, bread, they're the objects of sustenance that keep us alive. We receive our blessings and the gifts of creation, of life from God. So these little blessings is our turn to bless Him and to thank Him. It allows us to exercise gratitude, which is such an important thing to exercise, and in setting aside a few minutes of sacred time in your own little sacred space, it's your chance to honor God, or whatever name you give to whatever you happen to believe in. And it's just a simple way of saying thank you for all that you do for me. Mi chamocha be'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tahilot osei felah. Nora tahilot osei felah. Who is like you, O God among the gods worshipped? Who is like you, God of gods revered? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, fearsome with splendors, working wonders? Now you can sing that exact same hymn to infinite intelligence or the sun god or whatever you happen to believe. Remember, this is your creation of sacred time in your sacred space to talk to whoever you believe in. It's a part of your kavanah, your intention, your goodwill of what you bring to the universe. There is an exchange. Now this week we enter a new book in the Bible as we read Bamidbar, in the wilderness. Now it's often appearing in ancient rabbinic sources as Omesh HaPekedim, The fifth of the Reckonings. Now that's a great name for a book, isn't it? But of course it's more commonly called, in our world, Numbers. Right? It's a very strange name for a book. One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the number one. And there's so many songs about numbers, and since we're doing numbers, how about this one? Two of us riding nowhere, spending someone's hard-earned pay. You and me Sunday driving, not arriving on our way back home. We're on our way home. We're on our way home. We're going home. We're going home. The book of Numbers is the story of a journey. And we've been on that journey ever since. Now, the journey as a literary theme has been a recurring component of world literature, from the Epic of Gilgamesh, the oldest known book, in the Odyssey, to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. It reflects real experiences. It's a ready metaphor for human lives. And it's a connector between the world of literature and the world of dreams, in which experiences of journeys are common. Numbers 1:1. And the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai in the tent of meeting on the first of the second month in the second year of their going out from Egypt. Well, we now know where and when. And we also know that the tabernacle is only a month old, but had already become the place of God. We then go into a detailed census, and we find out all the Israelites who were reckoned by their fathers' houses from 20 years old and up, everyone who went out in the army of Israel, and all the reckonings came to 603,550. It's a pretty exact number. And the number is extremely close to that given in Exodus at the Great Epiphany. But don't spend a lot of time on this. Hey, here's another clue for you all. They all die. Everyone in this census, and the census goes on for quite a while, and this entire generation, is going to die. This census is thrown out in favor of one that will determine the land apportionment later. And as we see from the idea of the Jubilee, that's the one that actually counts. Now, this is setting us up for the journey and for the hardships of the wilderness, the place where all of us and where all of history's greatest spiritual leaders face their demons. But here we have an entire nation in movement with a visible miracle, the column of cloud and fire, and miraculous feeding via manna, happening in their presence at all times over a span of 40 years. It is the only age in the Bible in which miracle is a daily fact of life. So Numbers is the story of a people becoming a nation and coming to terms with having a constitution of laws and coming to terms with their relationship of holiness with the deity. It is a period of incubation, of nurturing. And all is provided for them: food, water, direction. The miraculous is the norm. At the same time, though, the wilderness is depicted as terrible. Conditions are bad. The environment is hostile. There is rebellion from within and fighting with peoples whom they encounter on the way. There are power struggles and fear, and some believe it was all avoidable. Now, the first part is a continuation, really, of the priestly writings, opening with the pageantry of that incredible census that is all for naught. And it's this census count that gives rise to the worst title to the 5 books of Moses, Numbers. Now, once we get past that, we see the effects of the journey. This book really is about in the wilderness, which is the Hebrew name, bamidbar. We read the story of the reconnaissance mission of the 12 spies, and I use air quotations because they're not really spies. we're repeatedly reminded of the passing of generations as the story carries us to the border of the promised land. Remember, it is after the incident of the spies that the entire adult generation that came out of Egypt is fated to die before the promise of the land can be realized. Moses, seconded by Aaron, fails the test of trusting in God's provident intervention, and as a result, he too will not be allowed to enter the land. Miriam and Aaron die. Moses' impending death on Mount Nebo is announced by God, and Joshua is lined up to succeed him as leader. This is a text that associates movement with trouble. And throughout the book of Numbers are the mystical numbers of the Bible, recurring in a myriad of places. And look for them as you read this. 1, 3, 7, and they keep repeating themselves. You can see them over and over again, and 40, of course. 7 days. 7 more days shall be coming. I'll be waiting at the station for her to arrive. 7 more days. All I gotta do is survive. Well, these people have to survive the wilderness. And we get repeated representations of a motley crew of malcontents, ancient deplorables. Now, the Hebrew derogatory term, asuf-suf, which really would translate best as perhaps riffraff, is used to characterize them. It's a mob churning with complaints and frustrated desires, restless under Moses' leadership, fed up with the hardships of life in the wilderness, and nostalgic for the material comforts of life in Egypt, of life in constraint. Think of the Edward G. Robinson character in the Ten Commandments. And yet, amazingly, this generation cannot free itself from the slave mentality it brought with it from Egypt. And that's what also constitutes the beginnings of a people meant to realize a grand historical destiny, because destiny is waiting for them. God's words to Abraham in Genesis were, "Those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse it will be cursed." These people are destined for something special. And you're going to hear those same words said in the brilliant centerpiece of archaic poetry in the Bible, in the midst of this book of Numbers, in the oracles of Balaam, which follows the story of Balaam and his donkey. Now, it's one of the great pieces of the Bible. It's a series of prophecies about Israel's future. Right after we've just read about Israel's choice of its future, and here it's going to be pronounced by a non-Israelite soothsayer. And it really is one of the fantastic parts of the Bible. And there are no other circumstances or instances of talking animals in the historic narrative of the Bible. The only other one, of course, is the serpent in the garden story, but that belongs to the primeval and therefore the mythological phase of biblical literature, not the historical phase. And because, according to the prevalent preconceptions, there's no humor in the Bible, it really messed with ancient scribes and sages. They didn't know what to do with this, because it should be noted that this story is really quite funny. Humor does exist in the Bible, my friends. And yes, the world is sacred. And so is everything in it. Express your gratitude, light a candle, make a wish, celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Always share your feelings with people. Live free, be free, honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, and be blessed. Now share and honor the light in all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone. An end to terror and hatred, my friends. Remember, we are a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. So let's send out love, not fear. Okay? Don't send out any more fear. Send out peace. Send out harmony, goodwill, and healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive and learn to love, including yourself. Open your hearts and honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you love them. And take advantage of the time you have and enjoy your journey. We're about to read about a journey. We take the twists and turns and the patterns that weave through the fabric of our lives in our effort to grow, to learn, to be, to love. So please do love. Now, bless you all. Have a fantastic week, a week of love and light, a week of peace, a week of miracles. Examine your intentions and use them to imprint your will on the universe. Remember, we set in motion everything that happens in our lives. Our intention, our kavana, our cause, our effect, everything's linked. As I've said, you always have time to forgive and to be forgiven. You do have the knowledge of what's good and bad, so use it. Acknowledge what you have done wrong to yourself, to God, to any person you've wronged, and ask forgiveness. But do so with sincerity, with accountability, with vulnerability. And forgive those who've hurt you as you learn to be a forgiving and compassionate person. Because the secret of forgiveness, of compassion, and peace is in acceptance, my friends. Can you accept yourself, other people, the world, just as they are on any given day? Can you accept life as it is without trying to control it? If you do, you can experience the peace that acceptance brings. So do not stop your journey. Do not stop moving towards your promised land, your home. So keep on dreaming, keep on being, keep sharing, keep shining, keep teaching, keep spreading joy and goodwill. Do not follow fear, follow love. It's always there in front of you. And remember to have faith, an unwavering adherence to principle. Just as I have faith in the principle of love and in all of you. So act with purity of heart and mind. Despise none, defraud none, hate none. Cherish all. Honor every child of God, every creature of the earth. May all people know peace in this year, and may you nurture kindness and love everywhere you go. Work to be present in your body. Expand your heart. Quiet your mind, because the deepest source of real power lies in your consciousness and your ability to be mindful, to be aware, to be present in all of life's circumstances. And make the most of your time in this life. Continue to touch and transform the lives around you, because you're never alone. You are forever blessed and have the ability to bring blessings to everybody you meet. Health, love, renewal to everybody you come across. We're all energy, and energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. Friends, your words are your power to transform, to love, to bless. So be generous. Bless others, bless yourself, and love with the heart. We're all part of a greater whole. Embrace love, not fear, forgiveness, not anger. Be there for someone, because someone's always going to be there for you whether you know it or not. And continue to explore faith and belief. And see how far you are from knowing that there's a greater power than you. And don't accept shame as a natural state. Whatever you feel, others have felt. Whatever you have experienced, others have experienced. We share together. We learn together. We help each other. We are, each of us, trying to find love, acceptance, and support. We have all, or could all, have found that special someone in our lives. So find them and tell them. There is only so much time that we have. When I get older, losing my hair, many years from now, will you still be sending me a Valentine? Birthday greetings, bottle of wine. If I'd been out till 2:45, would you lock the door? Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? Don't wait, my friends. Remember, it is a choice on how you live your life. Don't just endure it. Rejoice in it. And that comes from opening your heart and loving and sharing. Be happy, be healthy, be helpful, be kind, and certainly be loving. And print your will on the blank canvas of life and keep celebrating being free to be you and keep finding out who you really are. Shabbat shalom and blessings to you all. Take care, my friends. Speak to you later. Bye.